This is a tutorial explaining how to resize your digital still pictures for inclusion in your video projects. Your video editing suite might already have some way of doing this, but chances are that it won't both resize and crop your pictures so that they look natural on the screen. It might or it might not, but we're not going to take a chance with that. In this case, I'm going to show you how to resize your pictures so that they actually look natural and fit and fill the frame for a frame size is 1920 by 1080, which is a standard high definition size. The software I'm using for this resizing operation is Adobe Photoshop. It should work in almost any old version of Photoshop. Photoshop 7 should work fine, and Photoshop Elements should also work, and in Windows or Mac, doesn't really make any difference. First thing I'm going to do here with this image open in Photoshop is go to the Photoshop menu and go to Image and Image Size. And we look at this and we see that it's much too big to fit full frame onto the video right now. What I'm going to do first is change the width of the picture to 1920 pixels. We can't change the height and the width at the same time using this process. If we were to do that, the picture is going to end up looking squashed or stretched. So I just do the one. So there it is, resized to 1920 pixels wide. I just bring it back up in size a little bit so it fills the frame again. And for the next stage of this process, I'm going to go to Image again, but instead of image size, we're going to go to canvas size. And this particular computer is set up to display in metric. It's showing the size in centimeters. We don't want inches or centimeters here. We want pixels. So there's our width, 1920. That's right. We're going to change the height to 1080. And with the little window at the bottom here, we can choose which part of the picture to crop out. I'm just going to leave it in the center part here for now. So this will be cropping off the top and the bottom of the picture, just a little bit. And it's warning us that it's going to crop. We already know that, so we'll click on Proceed. And there it is, resized. And we'll just double check by going back to the image size again. 1920 by 1080, and that was our objective. And that works fine for one picture. But if you've got a whole lot of pictures to resize, you could be spending all month doing this, especially if you've got hundreds or even thousands of pictures from a time lapse, if you have to resize them all. This is how to set up a batch process. What we do in Photoshop is we go to the window menu and click on Actions. That opens up this little window over at the side here. And there are a number of actions that are already a stock part of Photoshop. Unfortunately, none of those work for us. So we're going to have to make our own. So I click on the upper right-hand corner of the window. And we're going to create a new set first. And I'm going to call that Resize. And we're going to create an action within that set. And I'm going to call that 1920 by 1080. And you notice here the record button is on. We're actually recording right now, but it's not like recording audio or video where there's a time factor involved. It's just going to record the actions. It's not related to time whatsoever. So now we're going to go back and essentially do what we just did the first time for doing a single picture. First change the image size so it's 1920 wide. Change the canvas size so it's 1080 high. And again, you can choose to crop wherever you want, but this is going to affect all the pictures the same way. So we've done our work on this one picture, but at the same time we've recorded. You can stop recording now by pressing the stop button. And we've now created this action as it's called in Photoshop, that we can apply to other pictures. So what I've done in advance here, I've created 2 folders. See them just at the top of the screen now. One for the pictures after they get resized and the ones that are ready to get resized, because we're going to be working from folders in this case, not with individual files. So in order to start this action, we go to the Photoshop menu, File, and you could either go to Automate. There's a way to do that in Automate a Batch Process. In this case, I'm going to use the Scripts menu, just because you can use this same procedure here going directly from Adobe Bridge if you happen to be running that. So here we're in Scripts, and I'm going to go to Image Processor. And here's the Image Processor, where we now select our folder that we're going to be working from. Select the destination folder. I'm going to set the quality to 12, which is the maximum quality. And in most cases, that's probably what you'll want to, unless you're trying to save disk space. And just in JPEG. We're not going to bother with the other file types here. They won't really be useful for us for video, either Photoshop or TIFFs. And down here in the preferences, this is the key part where we get to apply the action. Default actions are what come with Photoshop. Resize is the one that I just created. And we're going to apply it, and you'll see the pictures flash up on the screen as they get resized. This is real time. That's actually how long it takes to do this. So it's somewhat less than 1 second per picture there. We're now in Adobe Bridge. I mentioned that this can be done directly from Adobe Bridge. I've highlighted the pictures that we're going to want to reprocess. I go to the Adobe Bridge menu, Tools, and Photoshop. And within the Photoshop tab here, there's an image processor. This opens up the image processor. Similar choices to directly from Photoshop, except that you're not selecting your source folder this time. You've already selected the pictures within Adobe Bridge. You choose the destination folder. The JPEG quality, again, I would suggest going to 12. And from the action menu, we're doing the resize 1920 by 1080, or whatever you've chosen to call yours. Of course, you can also pick different dimensions if you want. After running it in Adobe Bridge or Photoshop, this is what we've ended up with. There's the original folder with the original file size. And to the left here, the new folder with the new file size, 1920 by 1080. And that was the objective. I hope this has helped you out.